halfway through our doubleheader here at the Hard Rock in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Next up, our main event. Sergey Kovalev coming off 2 impressive knockout victories, facing Eleider Alvarez, with Kovalev looking to cement his hold on the 175-pound division. Kovalev is clinically in command here.
This guy is a mean fighter.
The most sinister presence in the ring. Down goes Ward on a perfect shot. Kovalev has another knockout, and he made it look easy. The Krusher is back. This Tuesday, it's the season premiere of Hard Knocks, training camp with the Cleveland Browns. Follow Myles Garrett, Baker Mayfield, and the rest of the team that aims to turn Cleveland's recent struggles around. On Tuesday, August 21, an all-new episode of the Emmy Award-winning Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel. Among the stories, a visit to Mount Everest, where each year experts and novices test their limits to summit the world's highest peak. Tuesday, August 28, get prepared for the biggest fight of 2018 with 24/7 Canelo Golovkin 2. Both superstars will look back at their controversial first meeting as they count down to their highly anticipated rematch. Wednesday, September 5, it's the return of my show, The Fight Game. Among the stories we'll cover, an inside look at how recently legalized sports betting may impact the future of boxing in Atlantic City. On Saturday, September 8, it's another Superfly tripleheader headlined by Juan Francisco Estrada. Coming off his thrilling slugfest with Srisaket Sorung Bisai earlier this year, Estrada returns to face Felipe Urukuta. Also that night, tune in for the debut of Canelo Golovkin 2, The Fight Game Preview. Our experts will break down key moments of Canelo and Triple G's first fight, and will forecast what might happen when they meet again. And Saturday, September 15, it's the rematch the boxing world has been waiting for.
They're throwing knockout punches now.
Fire and fury in Las Vegas. Canelo Alvarez versus Gennady Golovkin 2, live on HBO pay-per-view. Don't miss a moment of the action. For more information on upcoming programming or to learn more about the fighters, log on to hbo.com/boxing. Back live at ringside with Max Kellerman. We're expecting to be joined by Roy Jones Jr. in just a moment or two. Meanwhile, let's get ready for the main event, Max. Sergey Kovalev, after the 2 tough losses to Andre Ward, more or less got gimmies in the last 2 fights and scored very early knockouts as the result of that. Now he prepares to step up in class to an entirely different kind of opponent in Eleider Alvarez. What's tonight about for Kovalev?
Is Kovalev back? Is he back to being the dominant light heavyweight in the world? Because what Dmitry Bivol just did just now, he's really, really good, but not so good that if you see the best version of Kovalev, you think Bivol's necessarily better than that guy. And the best version of Kovalev was destroying everything in the light heavyweight division till he ran into Andre Ward. Now, is Andre Ward's couple fights against Kovalev the blueprint to beat Kovalev? Well, as we've said in the past, maybe. Be an all-time great fighter who's incredibly versatile and incredibly tough and have your greatest night, and then you can beat Kovalev. So if he's the old Kovalev, maybe he's still the best light heavyweight in the world. But he really has his work cut out for him tonight, because Alvarez is not just some kind of body brought in for Kovalev to knock out. He's an undefeated, hungry, mandatory who's earned his shot.
Eleider Alvarez is unbeaten at 23-0, but with only 11 knockouts, although he's beaten some of the best fighters in the world. So how much chance does Alvarez have of upsetting Kovalev's apple cart tonight?
He has a real chance. Alvarez is skillful, he's fast, his defense is good, he uses his legs well, uses upper body movement really well, counters off of the misses he creates, throws in combination, throws accurately. The only thing he's missing is real pop in his punches. And that's what I think the fight boils down to, the question of the fight. Can Alvarez hit hard enough to keep Kovalev honest? Can Alvarez take Kovalev's power?
All right, Roy Jones has scrambled into position to join us. Max has already answered the question I was planning to ask you, so I'll just give you something different. What are you most looking forward to in this fight between Kovalev and Alvarez?
What I'm most looking forward to, Jim, is how quickly Alvarez can shake the rust off. Alvarez has been out for a little while, but Alvarez has sparred with some of the best fighters in the world. He sparred with Bill, he sparred with Pascal. He even beat Pascal in a fight. He even beat Isaac Chalema, who you saw just now in a fight. So the kid has wonderful experience. It's just that he's been out of the ring for about 13 or 14 months. So as quickly as he can shake that rust off, we'll start finding out what kind of fighter he is. And once he gets the rust off, we'll find out not just what type of fighter he is, but what kind of condition Kovalev really is in.
Nice job with Chilemba.
Thank you,
Let's
sir.
take a look at the tail of the tape now for Sergey Kovalev against Eleider Alvarez, and you can see that there's a 1-year age advantage for Alvarez. Roy called him a kid. Hey, they're all kids to us. And they're equal in height at 6 feet, and there's a 1-inch arm length advantage for Alvarez. They both weighed in at or just above the 175 pound, well, excuse me. Kovalev is at 174, a pound under the limit. Alvarez 174.4, 0.6 of a pound under the limit. You can see that they've rehydrated up, both of them about 13 pounds overnight, and Alvarez winds up with a functional 2-pound weight advantage going into the ring. And here's a look at Eleider Alvarez, member of the 2008 Colombian Olympic team. In his last fight as an amateur, he crushed the knuckles on his right hand, and as a result of that, Roy had to make a transition from being a puncher, which is the way he described himself as an amateur, to becoming more of an all-around boxer. That may be his advantage here tonight.
That is his advantage, Jim, because he did have a lot of power as an amateur. Having that power even more as a professional with the smaller gloves and no headgear definitely works in his favor.
He mentioned that the reason for the power shortage is he can't hit with all 4 knuckles. He had to start to learn how to hit with just the 2 knuckles. I asked him, can you use the 4 knuckles if you want to? In other words, do you have your best fastball when you want to get the guy out? He said no. It's just not the way he throws punches anymore.
But he can box and he can move, and Roy, you like to point out, in training in Montreal, he sparred against some of the best light heavyweights in the world on a routine basis. Meanwhile, here comes the man most regarded at this moment as the best active light heavyweight in the world. 2-0 with 2 knockouts since his back-to-back losses to Andre Ward. There's always a psychological process in coming back from disappointing and devastating losses. He was the leader on the scorecards through most of the 2 fights against Ward. So how difficult was the climb back to a psychological position of confidence for Sergey Kovalev?
It was very difficult, Jim. He had to go make some changes that he actually needed to make. Having a loss sometimes is the best thing for a good fighter, because sometimes they get so good at the top of their game that they feel like they don't have to work as hard and have to sacrifice as much. He found out that without that sacrifice and hard work, he would not continue to win.
No, it
Acts as the Krusher, he was indomitable.
Yeah.
Is he back to being the Krusher?
Well, that's what we're here to find out. Can he be the Krusher against top light heavyweight opposition as he was before the Ward fight? Along to kind of add on to Roy's point, it's one thing to lose to a fighter who's still active, but when the guy that beat you is now retired, it's not the same kind of, I think, psychologically crushing effect, because you can then resume your position as the guy who would have been the second best light heavyweight in the world, but the best guy's retired, you're now the best again.
Yeah, the shadow of Ward no longer looms in the division. Let's go to Michael Buffer for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the Hard Rock Hotel Casino of Atlantic City, New Jersey, USA, Main Events and Krusher Promotions, in association with Group Yvonne Michel, proudly present the main event of the evening. 12 rounds of boxing for the unified WBO IBA Light Heavyweight Championship of the World. Sponsored by Leon.RU and sanctioned by the New Jersey State Athletic Control Board, Boxing Commissioner Larry Hazard Sr. The world title belts are sanctioned by the World Boxing Organization President Francisco Paco Barcarcel, Supervisor Michael Pernick, and the International Boxing Association President Jean-Christophe Courget, Supervisor Eddie Scungio. The 3 judges at ringside, Lynn Carter, Carlos Ortiz, and Joseph Pasquale. And when the bell rings, your referee in charge of the action, David Fields. And now, the officials are ready. The fighters are in the ring, and they are ready. So for the thousands of fans here at the sold-out Hard Rock of Atlantic City, and the millions watching around the world on HBO, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner with his trainer Mark Ramsey, wearing white with black and officially weighing in at 174.4 pounds. This 2008 Olympian now has a perfect professional record. 23 fights, 23 victories, including 11 big wins by knockout from Turbo, Antioquia, Colombia, and Montreal, Canada. The reigning and defending WBC silver light heavyweight champion, the undefeated challenger, Eleider Alvarez. And his opponent across the ring with his trainer, Eleider, fighting out of the red corner, wearing black with silver and officially weighing in at 174 pounds. His professional record, 32 victories, 28 of those 32 victories by knockout. Only 2 defeats with 1 draw. Dame Gospoda from Chelyabinsk, Russia, the 2-time world champion, the reigning and defending unified WBO IBA light heavyweight champion of the world, Sergey Krusher Kovalev.
Okay, gentlemen, we're scheduled to box 12 rounds. I've gone over the rules in the dressing room. I expect you to obey my commands at all times. Most of all, protect yourself at all times. Touch gloves, good luck.
It's one thing to be the Krusher against opponents who are in there with you. They're put in there with you to build back your confidence. It's another thing to be the Krusher against the elite challenger in the division. And that is Alvarez. Kovalev is fighting his elite challenger.
I'm always impressed in our Friday meetings with fighters who have big personality. I had not previously met and spoken to Eleider Alvarez. He was impressive. He's a very bright guy, very exceptionally aware of everything around him, has a ready smile. Really enjoyed getting to know him during our meeting yesterday, and he gave me the impression, Roy Jones, that he's ready to deliver a big effort here tonight.
Yeah, he's been ranked #1 for a long time, Jim, and nobody would ever fight him. Stevenson never would give him his fight. He's just been sitting at the top, but not getting the proper opportunities. So sometimes you wonder, does that fire still burn, or has it fizzled out some? If it's still burning, we'll see a great fight here tonight. If it's fizzled out, then Kovalev will take it out.
See the difference in hand speeds from afar. Alvarez quick with his hands.
He's a technically all-around good fighter, Max.
Yep. Well, you and I have an ongoing debate about the better puncher between Kovalev and Bivol. And whatever you come down on that, you say Bivol, I say Kovalev. Kovalev to me is a heavy-handed puncher. You know, he doesn't have to hit you just right.
No, you're right there, Max, and that's the difference. But like I said, and it's like you say, it's what people think about it. When you look at it, a heavy-handed guy is good, but a quick-handed puncher with decent hands is going to be a harder puncher because of the shock effect.
I bring it up because Kovalev now is fighting a faster fighter, a good boxer, and he doesn't have to hit him just right to get something done. He just has to hit him.
Well, all he had to do is hit anybody like that, Max, because he's such a heavy-handed guy, like you say. But the thing about Kovalev is that he doesn't have shocking left hooks. He has a good right hand, but his left hook is not shocking. That's why Andre could beat him so easy. And a body shot like that they just got caught with can cause problems for Kovalev too. That was a good left body shot by Alvarez.
I always bring up the story about Kovalev after having been treated somewhat dismissively by the Russian Federation and having drifted for a couple of years after his amateur career in Russia. He finally came to the United States and went to former Evander Holyfield trainer Don Turner's heavyweight camp in eastern North Carolina to present himself as a candidate to become a professional fighter. And the first thing he told Turner was, I think I can box, but I'm not really sure I hit hard enough to be a professional fighter. And Turner said, well, let me put you in the ring against somebody and we'll see. And after a couple rounds, Turner called him over to the ropes and said, son, I can tell you this, You may have problems as a professional fighter, but punching power is not going to be one of them. That is what you have.
And it definitely has never been one of those problems.
He hasn't had too many problems as a pro either.
Okay, remember? Okay? All right, man? Okay? Let's go.
Eleider Alvarez does have to be careful because he's backing up, knocking that jab down with his right hand. If Kovalev does have a hook, he'll use it to come around that right hand.
What I like about Alvarez, Roy, his eyes, the focus. You know, you see this with elite boxers. Wide open, right on the opponent, intense, not giving him anything.
Competitive first round between Kovalev and Eleider Alvarez, both of them throwing 25 or 26 punches and both of them landing only 4. And that's an Alvarez kind of round.
You're right.
You're doing great. You're doing great, Sergey. Relax yourself. Fade, and then right hook. Just stick it in there. Sergey, use your jab. Use your jab. Hit him in the body. Hit him everywhere. Everything is fine. Other than that, everything is great.
Let's go. Out the corner, man.
There's a scowl on Eleider Alvarez's face, and he rushes into the ring. Gets a pushback from referee David Fields as he goes after Sergey Kovalev at the beginning of round number 2.
There you see Kovalev throw that hook because he sees Alvarez reaching forward for the jab with the right hand.
Well, Max and I were talking during the first fight about the difference in power punch effectiveness between the right hand and the left hook, and how the left hook is a money weapon for a lot of guys because it's a shorter, quicker punch. Kovalev is a right-hand power puncher.
Yes,
he
sir.
wants to land the big ones.
Oh, good shot by Alvarez. That hurt Kovalev a little bit.
Yeah, and he landed one before that Kovalev walked through, but it was really accurate.
There was another one. And Kovalev also landed a hook.
And that's why I said, not every fight you can say this about, but this one could come down to punching power. Does Alvarez hit hard enough to get Kovalev's respect, and can he take Kovalev's power?
That's right, Max. Can he take Kovalev's power is what we really need to see. I know he hits hard enough to get Kovalev's respect, but can he take Kovalev's power?
I mean, I think the key to taking Kovalev's power is not getting hit with it.
Well, that and being ready when it comes. Like right there, he's ready for it so he can deal with it. Everybody knows in boxing, the punch that hurts the worst is the one you don't see. Like that one right there, had he landed.
Quick hands from Alvarez on the inside. And good defense.
I don't like Kovalev's look right now, Max. I don't like nothing about the way Kovalev's face is looking right now.
No, he looks like he's already recognizing he may need his power to bail him out.
Yes.
Meaning that he recognizes there's a decent chance he gets outboxed here tonight.
Well, not only outboxed, the power is scaring him a little bit too, Jim. When you see a guy start to look confused like that, it's not about getting outboxed. It's about running into a big shot.
Yeah, I think he recognized, whoa, he stung me with that a couple times, and I didn't see it coming.
Exactly.
Chance of a lifetime, really, for Eleider Alvarez, who has waited so long, as Roy Jones pointed out, for his chance to fight at the very top of the division. Adonis Stevenson made him wait. Ultimately, Alvarez, as the mandatory challenger, figured out, I'm not going to get this opportunity. Being a mandatory for Adonis Stevenson means you don't get the fight.
You know, we're getting what we wanted to see, which was in the aftermath of Andre Ward's undressing of Kovalev, especially in the rematch. What happens when there's a really good boxer who's starting to do some of the same stuff? Will Kovalev come undone, or will he remain disciplined?
Well, the bad thing about that, Max, is that if he comes undone, then all the blame he put on John David Jackson will go out the window.
Wait, stop, let him go. Help.
Alvarez is making Kovalev reach, and then when Kovalev gets inside, he's tying him up. And Alvarez has had a lot of advantages here in the first couple of rounds, landing 17 out of 55 so far to Kovalev's 13 out of 65. I'm very happy.
I was very happy that you did that. Right, for continue to march. Continue to work. You're boxing very well. Use your legs. Do a lot of movement. And you're doing very intelligently. You got to continue to push the punch.
Here we see Eleider land a jab followed by a decent right hand, was a little high on the jaw. If it would have been on the chin or lower, we may have seen some real strange activity.
This is the first real test for Kovalev and his new trainer, Abror Tursun Pilatov, together. We haven't seen Tursun Pilatov talking him through a really competitive fight. We've seen him talk him through two real easy walkover type knockouts. So here you have what could become a tactical battle, and it would pose some questions for both Kovalev and Tursun Pilatov.
Meantime, Kovalev is usually a very confident fighter, you know, an arrogant fighter even before his fights in the meetings with us, and usually doesn't really worry about the opponent, no matter who it is. But before this fight, he was very respectful of Alvarez, recognizing that Alvarez was a very good fighter and that it would be a difficult fight.
And that Alvarez jab is causing Kovalev some real problems right now.
Beating Kovalev to the punch with that jab.
Making him look like an old guy.
Kovalev starts to move forward to try to throw a shot against Alvarez, and Alvarez pops him with the jab, taking advantage of Kovalev's forward momentum.
Another good jab by Alvarez.
He's doing a good job early on of being up inside of Kovalev's power or back away from it, creating a distance that makes it difficult for Kovalev to land the kinds of shots he wants to land.
And I must say this about Sergey Kovalev. He did learn from Ward that you must go to the body because he's throwing more left body shots than I've ever seen him throw before.
Except
like
maybe
that.
against John Pascal.
Like that.
He did that against Pascal in both fights, and it served him very well.
And not as much as he's doing tonight, Jim. He's making a conscious effort to do it a lot here tonight.
He's being outboxed, though, so far by Alvarez, in my opinion.
Well, that's not shocking at all. Alvarez is the pure boxer by comparison.
Big jab by Alvarez.
Once again, Kovalev coming forward, and Alvarez timing the jab.
That's what I mean. Does Alvarez pop hard enough to get Kovalev's respect? Because Kovalev can start to kind of run at you, and you got to put something on him to dissuade him, and Alvarez has been able to do that. When Kovalev starts posturing like that, Alvarez has been able to put some stuff on him that's made Kovalev hesitant to just rush in.
And the only thing that bothers me is at the end of that last round, when Alvarez was holding on to Kovalev, he held him as though something had hurt him. Usually a guy doesn't hold like that unless he's been hurt.
Well, Kovalev has the reputation of a puncher, and maybe Alvarez is being especially cautious on the inside.
Well, and you heard Mark Ramsey tell Alvarez between rounds, I like that you did that. I wanted you to do that. So he may be saying that Alvarez was holding Kovalev and wrestling him around just a little bit to destroy his rhythm.
But that could have been the case, too.
Pushing him back, leaning on him on the ropes.
Making it an ugly fight. Good shot by Kovalev.
Interesting, by the way, that Alvarez's native language from Colombia is Spanish, but Ramsey communicates with him between rounds in French. August 28th marks the premiere of LeBron James' new conversation series, The Shot, with special guests Odell Beckham Jr., Snoop Dogg, and Jon Stewart. Later that night, 24/7 kicks off the countdown to next month's highly anticipated rematch between Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin, which comes your way September 15, only on HBO pay-per-view.
And then as soon as he attacked, you have to do the counterattack. After that. If somebody attacks you, you have to do the same thing. It's very excellent.
Here we see Eleider Alvarez doing some really good job, work with that jab, Perfect jab right there, catches Kovalev before he gets started. Then it comes right back again later in the round. Right when you see Kovalev getting ready to start, boom. Pops with that jab, throws everything Kovalev is doing off limit, off timing. And they exchange jab that time.
CompuBox numbers in the round, however, Kovalev landed 13 out of 56, which were both highs in the fight so far for him. So let's go to Harold Letterman, our unofficial ringside scorer, and see how he has it through three.
Okay, Jim, I got a 2-1, 29-28, Sergey Kovalev. Jim, I think that, you know, he's landing the harder punches and he's coming forward. He's the aggressor in the fight so far. 3 close rounds. Eleider Alvarez also jabbing very, very well. But I think that Kovalev is getting the best of him with that left hook. 2 rounds to 1, Sergey Kovalev.
Max, did you give the first round to Alvarez?
I think Alvarez may be pitching a shutout right now.
Interesting.
But I agree with Harold. They're competitive rounds, but I think Alvarez is mostly picking off Kovalev's shots, and he's the one doing the clean landing.
Anytime Alvarez starts first, he's in front of this fight. He's beating Kovalev to the punch. He's landing the last punch going out. When they go exchange, he's definitely winning them when he starts it.
But isn't Harold correct that Kovalev is the aggressor and is going forward more often?
Yeah, but when you're walking into jabs like that, Jim, it doesn't really matter. He's walking right into a beautiful jab that's landing clean right down the middle of his face, almost like a straight right hand.
Looks like Kovalev has chosen volume as his antidote to the problem. He's trying to throw more punches than Alvarez and keep the pressure on.
Smartest thing he can do.
Now Kovalev is landing, I think, really for the first time in the fight.
And I think he might have hurt Alvarez with a right-hand shot. Alvarez comes back with determination.
The keys to the fight. Can Alvarez get his respect? Can he take Kovalev's power? Kovalev's landing some huge shots, and Alvarez is taking them so far.
And shouting at Kovalev as he does.
Kovalev, come on. Oh, good shot by Kovalev. Good hook by Kovalev.
Alvarez may want to tighten up the defense right now.
Yep.
Instead of showing us how brave he is, he's taking the power. I don't know how much more he can take of those kind of shots.
Crowd is very excited here.
This is good
Boxing
fight,
returns to Atlantic City.
Good fight, Jim. They're exchanging. Oh, good hook by Kovalev.
Sergey's having a big round with power punches.
Good body shot by
The Krusher may be back. Hard left hook to the body by Kovalev.
Oh, good body shot again.
Looking for another right hand upstairs as he continues to work the body against Alvarez.
Now the question is, what's Alvarez got?
Yep.
And is Kovalev just going to convince him, hey, this is a different level? I'm too good, I hit too hard. Or can Alvarez, having weathered the storm so far, regain control of the fight?
This is when you find out, has that fire fizzled out from waiting, or does he still have a fire burning in him?
It could be discouraging for Kovalev should Alvarez mount something here by the end of the round, Roy.
You're exactly right, Max, but I don't think he's going to have time.
And I think Alvarez just wants to get out of the round now.
Oh,
There's a right hand. Just as I say he's done, he's not done. Straight right hand shot.
We did show you the base. We don't need that. We are going to leave that for later on when the two boxers are very tired. But I need you to use the technical, be technical, and then we're going to go to. And if you listen to me all night long, we're going to win the fight.
Don't let him go. Don't let him go. Keep the pressure. Keep the pressure on him. You're doing everything you need to do.
This is how this fight is going back and forth. This round, you see Kovalev land a jab, followed by a good short overhand right that went right behind Alvarez's gloves, right on the chin. Then Kovalev, remembering to go to that body, throws a beautiful straight right hand to the body right there, followed by a big left hook that was partially blocked.
11 Eleider Alvarez fights have been tracked by CompuBox. And prior to that round, never had an opponent landed 25 power shots in a round against Eleider Alvarez. Kovalev landed 25 of 60 power punches against Alvarez in the 4th round. The most powerful fusillade Eleider Alvarez has ever tasted in his professional boxing.
Kovalev can box, by the way. You know, like in the first fight with Andre Ward, his boxing ability, as much as anything else, you know, had a lot of people thinking maybe he won that fight.
Yep, it sure did.
And here also his boxing ability allowed him to land those power shots against a very good defensive fighter.
And now Eleider got to start fighting though. Eleider got to make him fight like Andre did in the second fight.
We're on the boardwalk in Atlantic City for big-time boxing for the first time in nearly 4 years, and we have a hot fight in front of us as Sergey Kovalev tries to reestablish his dominance in the light heavyweight division against one of his best opponents ever, Eleider Alvarez, and both men have had big moments in the early rounds.
So far, again, the question of the fight. Can Alvarez's power keep Kovalev off him? I think that's actually to be determined. Kovalev is getting braver and a little more aggressive as the fight goes on. And can Alvarez take Kovalev's power? So far, yes, but he was shaken up in that last round.
Well, the big thing is if he shocks Kovalev while Kovalev is on the attack, can Kovalev take that?
Well, I'm of the opinion that Kovalev was a little bit shocked early on at how easily Alvarez could hit it, but then gradually made the decision, I can take this. I can walk through it, whatever it is. And whether it's the jab or the right hand, it isn't going to hurt me as much as I'll hurt him if I keep going forward.
Alvarez may want to reconsider only hitting with those 2 knuckles on one of these shots. Hit with all 4.
I see Alvarez use that jab a little bit more like he was earlier.
Good left hook again by Kovalev. Alvarez has managed to slow the pace down a little bit here in round number 5. Kovalev not nearly as active as he was in round 4.
Spent a lot of gas in round 4, Jim. Spent a lot of gas in round 4. Good right by Kovalev.
Yeah, and that's what Alvarez really has to avoid. Kovalev getting that right on track.
Oh, Kovalev would have threw it over the top that time. That might have ended matters.
Increasingly, Kovalev trying to trap Alvarez in the corner.
Yeah, you had him right then, but he didn't throw his shot.
This is what a light heavyweight title fight's supposed to be. Champion against his undefeated contender, back and forth, outcome to be determined.
This is potentially, we're only 5 rounds in, but this could build into a great fight.
We are very in control. And every time you move, you block them. You go to the right, use big defense, and then when you attack, counter attack. And I'm asking you to put a lot of pressure. And I need you to control the 2 next round. When you have the chance to go, you have to go 1-2, 1-2. Higher, it's better.
Fade him. You're looking really good, Sergey. You are just looking really good out there. Just fade him and do your thing. Fade him and punch hard when you can.
Alvarez outlanded Kovalev 10-9 in round number 5, rebounding from the big rally Kovalev was able to put together in the preceding round. Now, as we move to the 6th of a scheduled 12, you can see that Harold Letterman is given for the first 5 rounds to Sergey Kovalev for a 49-46 lead on his unofficial scorecard.
This fight to me looks like a 3 rounds to 2 fight so far either way.
Oh, good jab again.
For the moment, Alvarez has made a determination that he wants to try to limit Kovalev to landing 1 shot at a time, stop the combination punching, and use of the jab was particularly meaningful for Alvarez early on.
Alvarez got a cut under his left eye.
Just a tiny trickle of blood under the eye. Yeah, right on the cheekbone.
Yep, good hook by Kovalev.
See, all of Kovalev's power wouldn't mean anything if he didn't have the technique to get those punches home. He has tricky offensive technique.
Alvarez has been cut 5 times previously around that left eye. It hasn't cost him any fights. He remains unbeaten. Kovalev has got some bruises on his face as well. And I'm told that the cut is the product of a headbutt, not of a punch. That's our determination via videotape. Not sure whether the commission is aware.
Well, the good thing is that the goal to have replay here, video replay, so that's a good thing. Let's go back and look.
Exactly.
Kovalev's power is really showing itself here because they're both putting boxing moves on each other. They're both landing punches, but Kovalev's are simply doing more damage.
That's to be expected. That's why he's called the Krusher.
And the experience factor, Matt. His experience is starting to kick in now. He's doing things to Eleider to make Eleider feel uncomfortable.
He didn't allow himself to get rattled in the early rounds when Alvarez was beating him to the punch.
Right, the idea that, well, Kovalev will fold if the going gets tough because Andre Ward was able to do that to him. Doesn't mean that just normal excellent fighters can do that to him.
I don't think he folded in the first fight at all. I think the scoring of the first fight was highly questionable. In the second fight, no question, Ward with his body shots managed to get Kovalev to wilt.
Well, Kovalev showed discipline in the first fight over the second half. Didn't just throw caution to the wind and sell out. Continued to box responsibly. And many people feel he won as a result.
Good body shot by Kovalev.
September 5 is the return of my show, The Fight Game. We'll preview the September 15 Canelo Alvarez-Gennady Golovkin rematch and also look ahead to the September 8 Boxing After Dark Superfly triple header headlined by Juan Francisco Estrada against Felipe Oracuta. Also, we've been shooting a feature piece all weekend here in Atlantic City about the potential return of big-time boxing on a regular basis to Atlantic City.
Here we see the two come together. As they come together, the Krusher's head hits Eleider Alvarez right up under that left eye. As they back away, bing, you see the blood start to trickle down.
Very accurate, accidental bunt.
Yep.
Halfway through the fight. Heading into round number 7. Let's quickly check in with Harold Letterman to see his unofficial score so far. Harold?
Okay, Jim. I got it 5 rounds to 1. 59-55, Sergey Kovalev. I think that, you know, he's landing the hardest shots. He's doing more damage. And I think he's winning the rounds. Very, very close rounds, but I think he's winning them. Did you see that left jab? That was a hard left jab that landed on Alvarez. And he's landed shots like that to win the rounds. They're close, but Kovalev is winning them. 5 rounds to 1, Sergey Kovalev.
I agree that Kovalev started to pull away in the fight a little bit based on the power difference.
Well, we saw a fight a few weeks ago between Jaime Munguia and Liam Smith in which Smith had the technical advantages, but ultimately Munguia was able to win the fight because he simply hit harder and was able to keep Smith back on his heels. That's a little bit of what's happening here, although you can't criticize Kovalev's technical adjustments over the course of the last 2 or 3 rounds. They've been very good.
He's made some very good adjustments, but the difference in this fight and that fight, Jim, was both guys were capable in this fight of knocking each other out. In that fight, I don't think Liam Smith really could have knocked Munguia out.
As he knew. And I mean, the dead giveaway in the Munguia-Smith fight was the grin on Smith's face in the middle rounds, as if to say, okay, we can all see what's going on here. I'm a better boxer, but he hits so hard, I can't really do anything about it.
Yep.
We were talking Ward Kovalev 1 and 2. In the second Ward fight, Ward seemed to break Kovalev.
Oh, there you go. Kovalev on a colossal right-hand shot by Eleider Alvarez. And I mean, he cold-cocked him with that right hand.
And he might not make it out this round.
Kovalev was shivering as he went down. That was a colossal punch. And here comes Alvarez. Uppercut lands with the right hand. Jab lands for Alvarez.
Kovalev is done, Jim.
Right hand again. Kovalev in big trouble.
If he has
find a way to move his feet. Alvarez has him right where he wants him. Can he put the finishing touches on? Crowd is going wild in Atlantic City. The Krusher in big trouble. Round number 7, down for a second time. Referee David Fields is known to give fighters a lot of rope. Fields is not a quick stoppage guy.
No, this fight cannot continue.
No, Kovalev's legs are done.
Kovalev is done.
Fields is not going to stop it. I'll bet you a dime to a dollar. He's going to let him continue.
This is outrageous.
This has to be a stoppage. Upset victory for Eleider Alvarez.
That was not a Kovalev who folded when the going got tough.
Nope.
In fact, that was a Kovalev who'd learned from the second Ward fight how to weather the storm. Alvarez, in spite of that, as you said, Jim, cold-cocked hooked him with a right hand and took all those kind of decisions about determination and heart and will to win out of Kovalev's hands by separating Kovalev from his senses.
Only 11 knockouts and 23 wins coming in. And Alvarez, by his own admission, said to you, I can't hit flush as hard as I want to with the right hand. He did it tonight.
Those were 4 knuckle shots.
The look on Kovalev's face, one of utter disbelief. 3 knockdowns for Eleider Alvarez. Here it is. Look at this.
First shot comes the overhand right, Jim. Boom! And that took Kovalev out of the game. That ruined it for Kovalev. He was starting to get fatigued already. His legs were gone, but the overhand right really did it for him. Right, high on the chin, but a beautiful landing shot by Eleider Alvarez.
A temple shot.
A temple shot.
Now here's knockdown number 2.
There's a left hook that took him out, followed by a good straight right hand. That definitely took Kovalev down.
Now, we all felt that Fields should stop the fight at this point, but I knew his past record and I knew he wouldn't.
And there was an overhand right miss, followed by another left hook to the head and a right hand through the cross. That's the second knockdown, I think. When a fighter falls on his arm like that, Jim, it's usually about over.
And here's the third knockdown.
Overhand right.
Another right hand around the guard.
Left hand up the middle. And that'll do it.
And finally, Fields gets the message. And Eleider Alvarez has seized Sergey Kovalev's position in the light heavyweight division.
He had to wait a long time, Jim.
Here at the Hard Rock of Atlantic City, the end comes at 2 minutes, 45 seconds of round number 7. The winner by knockout victory, still undefeated, and now the new unified light heavyweight champion of the world, Eleider Alvarez.
As I said earlier, he has a fantastic personality. He is very entertaining in conversations. So it's fun to see Eleider Alvarez suddenly rise to the top with his spectacular performance there in the 7th round against Sergey Kovalev. Kovalev landed 18 punches more, threw 88 punches more. Alvarez landed at a slightly higher connect percentage. He was the counterpuncher through much of the fight. But when he saw his opportunity, and as Roy Jones said, Kovalev tired just a little bit coming into that round. And Alvarez, with his awareness as a former Colombian Olympian, understood what to do as he took over with power shots. They both wind up landing 33% of their power shots, but Eleider Alvarez's 7th round barrage was most meaningful. And here's Max Kellerman with a new light heavyweight champion.
Congratulations, champ. You've waited a long time for your title shot. What are you feeling right now?
Bueno, no sé ni cómo escribir cómo me siento.
I just can't even describe how I feel.
Primero que todo quiero agradecerle a Dios.
First of all, I want to thank God.
A todo mi grupo de trabajo, mi entrenador Mark Ramsey.
All my team, Mark Ramsey, my trainer.
Mi manager Stefan Lepin. El grupo Yvonne Michel.
My manager, Yvonne Michel.
A la gente de Quebec, Canadá, que me dio su apoyo siempre.
And all the public from Quebec, Canada, that always supported me.
A Colombia, a mi familia en Colombia, a mis amigos en Montreal, mis amigos en Colombia.
And to Colombia, all my family in Colombia, my friends in Montreal, my family in Montreal.
No tengo, si empiezo a mencionar la gente, no termino hoy.
You know, and if I started to mention each one individually, I just wouldn't have time to finish the day.
You started off the fight really well, outboxing Kovalev, in my opinion, early. But then in the 4th round, he started to unload on you. It seemed to be a pivotal moment in the fight. Could you take his punches and come back or not? What were you thinking in that 4th round?
Pues quería demostrarle que soy fuerte, que tengo un buen mentón y que estoy hecho para grandes cosas.
I wanted to show him that I am strong, that I have a good chin, and that I'm ready for big things.
Do you feel that he was discouraged at all because after unloading those big power shots, you were still there, still boxing with him, still exchanging with him?
Bueno, pienso que un poco mermó un poco. Sus golpes ya no eran los mismos letales que en el comienzo de la pelea. Entonces, por eso la táctica de nosotros como entrenador fue trabajarlo adentro.
You know, we slowed him a bit, and I felt that his punches weren't as hard as they were at the beginning of the fight, and part of the tactics was to be able to work him on the inside.
But it's one thing to wear a guy down and from an accumulation of punches, knock him out. This was essentially a one-punch knockout, a right hand that basically ended the fight. You talked about the surgery you had on your right hand at the end of your amateur career and how you can only punch with 2 knuckles now as a pro. Was that a 2-knuckle punch or a 4-knuckle punch?
De 2 nudillos, como te dije, me acostumbré a pegar con solamente 2 nudillos y así fue porque practicamos ese golpe durante todo el campo de entrenamiento y salía muy bien.
That was a 2-punch knockout, you know, and that's what happened. I fought like that through my career. And we practiced that punch during training camp, and that's how it went.
But where did the power come from again suddenly? You're a power puncher as an amateur, but not as a pro. You fought a lot of good fighters as a pro, and I haven't seen that kind of power. Where did that come from tonight?
Por eso siempre practico ese golpe y pensábamos que era una de las armas letales que podíamos hacer con Kovalev después del quinto, sexto asalto. Y así fue, salió bien.
I always practice that punch, as I said, in training, and it felt that it was something that we can do, and it would be after the 5th, the 6th, 7th round, more or less.
Quickly, Dmitry Bivol fought on the co-feature. He is an elite light heavyweight. What do you think about a fight with Bivol?
Bueno, yo estoy preparado para pelear con el que sea. Hace 5 años estoy en los mejores 135 libras del mundo. No me había llegado la oportunidad, me llegó ahora y estoy listo para enfrentar al que sea.
I'm ready for the best in the world. I'm ready for the best in the division. I've been waiting for 5 years for the best. I am amongst the best at 175. Whoever comes, I'm ready.
Thanks, champ, and congratulations. Jim.
Roy Jones, we're going to take a look back at all 3 knockdowns. Did Kovalev ever recover from that punch?
No, he did, Jim. That was away from him. It was nothing he could do that totally took all the fight out of him.
And there's the second knockdown as Eleider Alvarez, reputed to be more a boxer than a puncher, suddenly in the 7th round became a light heavyweight Felix Trinidad.
He was a very smart guy, Jim. He took his time. He knew that Kovalev had expended a lot of punches in that 4th round. That's something that's hard for Kovalev to recover from. So by Kovalev not recovering, that messed up everything.
Official scores in the fight at the moment of the knockout: 58-56 Kovalev, 59-55 Kovalev, 59-55 Kovalev, and that's the moment at which Alvarez sprung the upset assault. And we get a look now at Sergey Kovalev in his dressing room amid the disappointment, the desolation of knowing that his reign atop the light heavyweight division has suddenly come to a halt unexpectedly via knockout. A lot of people thought that there was a chance that Eleider Alvarez could go the distance in this fight and perhaps put Sergey Kovalev in danger of a decision loss. But almost nobody, Max, thought that Eleider Alvarez was going to come in here and, as I just said to Roy Jones, suddenly become a light heavyweight Felix Trinidad and knock Kovalev out in the 7th round.
My predecessor in this position, Jim, the great Larry Merchant, used to call boxing what? The theater of the unexpected. I mean, you could see Alvarez outboxing Kovalev. You could see Kovalev knocking out Alvarez. And even if you saw an Alvarez potential stoppage, you'd think it would be more the kind where he surprised Kovalev, he started to wear him down, he started to remind Kovalev of Andre Ward, and Kovalev had some give in him somehow. That's not what I saw. I saw Kovalev weather the early surprise of Alvarez's speed and boxing ability, hit Alvarez with everything but the kitchen sink in that 4th round. Alvarez weathered the storm, yet Kovalev maintained the initiative. Kovalev start to take over the fight, and then when you least expect it, Alvarez stopped Kovalev basically with one punch. That right hand ended the fight. Yes, Alvarez followed up smartly and intensely, and yes, that ultimately ended the fight. But really, the beginning of the end was that one right hand, a one-punch-ish kind of knockout from a guy who can't punch.
from a guy who said that his punching power was permanently compromised when he crushed 3 knuckles on his right hand in the last fight of his amateur career, and he threw the most thunderous right hand of the year.
And that's not Kovalev having his will broken with body shots or being convinced he's not good enough on this night, ghosts of Andre Ward. That's Kovalev getting the decision to continue taken out of his hands by Alvarez disconnecting Kovalev's brain from his own legs. In other words, Kovalev tells his legs, get up, be steady, and his legs say, I can't do it. This guy is short-circuit.
Even with referee David Fields giving him a perhaps unwarranted third chance, nevertheless, Kovalev could not recover. Roy Jones, you coached Isaac Jalemba through a distance-going performance against the electric and exciting Dmitry Bivol here tonight. Bivol was expected to be the next opponent for Kovalev if Kovalev could get past Alvarez. So handicapped for us now at this moment the possibility of an Alvarez versus Bivol matchup.
That's a very good possibility, Jim. The good thing for Alvarez is that he's been waiting right there in the wings for over 5 years now. You knew it was his time, and like I said earlier, the only thing we wanted to see was had the fire fizzled out, or did he still have the fire? If he still had the fire, if he could withstand the early onslaught, and as I told you earlier in the fight, I didn't like how Kovalev was looking.
Exactly.
Those jabs, when he was throwing him off balance with the jab, hitting him and throwing his timing off, that kind of stuff lets me know something about a fighter. When I see that, I don't like it. So all he had to do was weather that storm, and we knew he would get Kovalev if he weathered the storm. Secondly, with Bivol needs 1 or 2 more fights before he fights the storm, because the storm has a lot of professional experience.
A lot of game
and a lot of professional experience. If he don't get some more fights first, it could be a problem for Dmitry Bivol.
Is Sergey Kovalev done at 35?
Yes, I think Sergey Kovalev is pretty much done at 35.
All right. It's been a tremendous night on HBO's World Championship Boxing as we brought you back to Atlantic City for the first time in more than 4 years, expecting to see the careful steps toward a potential showdown at light heavyweight between Dmitry Bivol and Sergey Kovalev. And Bivol made it through his test with Isaac Jalemba, though not as dominantly as a lot of people had expected him to be. And then Kovalev seemed to be on his way to asserting his power over Eleider Alvarez. But Alvarez, as Roy Jones points out, waited a long time for his chance, showed some of his game, showed his versatility, and ultimately showed what you didn't think he could do. One of the most crushing right hands of the year, put Kovalev on Queer Street and ended the fight, and perhaps ended the top-level career of the Krusher, who made an amazing run in American professional boxing. All credit to Alvarez. Can't wait to see him next time. Can't wait for you to be with us as we continue this year on HBO's World Championship Boxing. Tuesday night, it's the premiere of 5 straight weeks of Hard Knocks training camp with the Cleveland Browns. We have a new Real Sports coming up on August 21. The following week kicks off the Canelo Triple G preview programming with 24/7, the return of The Fight Game, as well as LeBron James' new conversation series, The Shop. Juan Francisco Estrada headlines a Boxing After Dark triple header on September 8th. And we wrap things up on September 15 with the Canelo Alvarez-Gennady Golovkin rematch on HBO pay-per-view. Next on HBO, stay tuned for Real Sports. If you came in late and missed any part of tonight's action or just want to see it again, tune in to HBO tomorrow morning or log on to HBO Go and HBO On Demand. Now for our entire HBO team, I'm Jim Lampley saying so long from the historic Boardwalk in Atlantic City, New Jersey.
This has been a presentation of HBO Sports.